So we thought we'd talk a little about mobility. Mobility, very hot topic right now. Talk about the iPad and what's going on different mobile devices and what we are doing from an SAP standpoint. But I want to hear a little bit about the day from you guys, because I've seen the agenda and I've heard a few things that have been going on. But what's been happening so far? How's the day been so far? Feel free to just jump in there and say anything. I like to keep my sessions pretty open.
Breaking more rules.
Some technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. I'm sure we'll have a couple of those in this session. That's good. Okay. What else? What have you guys learned so far? What's been some of your key takeaways? You gotta have takeaways. You come in here. This is beautiful. Well, one takeaway is we got growing plants in the front foyer. Did you guys see those when you came in this morning? Holy crap! How does that work?
Living wall.
The living wall. I actually have to water those every morning. I come in, I have to sprinkle those. No, I'm just kidding.
That's neat.
So, okay. A little bit more, maybe? One or two more things we've learned so far? Anybody?
Yeah, HANA. That's for me.
Learn about HANA?
Yeah.
Cool.
The email.
We can talk about HANA and mobile devices in this session and doing analytics and mobility on big data, so I'm going to touch on that. Anybody else? Did we do anything on EPM or BI 4.0? Did we talk about that? Do we even know what BI 4.0 is?
BI 4 on HANA.
We talked about 4.0 on HANA. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So just a little background on myself, guys. Nick Smith. I'm an old school business objects guy. I was with business objects for a long, long time. And before that, with Crystal Decisions. So way back in the day with a product called, a lot of you guys might know it, Crystal Reports. Heard of it? Yeah. So worked on the team that developed. I feel like I'm fading in and out. Should I hold this, or you guys audio problems? You guys can all hear me though, right? Should I just turn this off? Is it weird?
Yeah. No.
Keep it on. Oh, we need it on for Tammy.
Yeah, for Tammy.
Tammy, we're keeping this on for you. Hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully I'm not cutting it out.
I think there are others online too right now.
So old school business objects guy. I left business objects before the acquisition, before SAP acquired business objects. And I spent some time down at Microsoft. So I worked at Microsoft on BI down with those guys, worked on the Office team, SharePoint team, did a whole bunch of stuff around BI with those guys. And then have recently come back to Vancouver and have come back to SAP to focus on business intelligence and now on mobility and what we're doing with mobile BI and this broader vision for where we're going with mobile analytics. And, you know, that's me flying through the air. Unless no, that's actually not me. I wish it was. I wish I could get that much air. Anyway, so what I thought we'd talk about is we'll do a little bit of talking. I know you guys are totally probably slided out by now from a content standpoint. Give you a little bit of background about what's going on from a mobility standpoint with SAP. Talk about some of the features, functions, technologies that are coming into play. Talk about where we're going from a mobile analytics standpoint and what's new, what's hot, what's happening, what's going on under the covers. Give you a little sense of some of the roadmap. But then really switch gears and play with this stuff. So I'll give you a few demos. And then we've actually got some devices here that all of you guys can take a look at. Not take home with you, but take a look at and play with and interact with some of the analytics on those devices and get kind of a first-hand experience if you haven't seen some of these apps before in your hands on the iPad. Now, I saw a few people have, who has an iPad here? Cool. So, and do you guys have connectivity? Can you connect in? And yeah, so there's a couple apps that if you haven't already downloaded, you can actually get on your device right now, so we can kind of get into that. Bit of background, some trends, some things that are happening, some things that are going on more broadly in the marketplace. I think we all kind of know this, right? If any of you guys have been to a business conference in the last 6 months, you've seen this. You've seen people walking around with all sorts of different mobile devices. I was just at our SAP Tech Ed event 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas. I don't think I've ever been to an event where I've seen so many people walking around with a handheld device or a tablet device in my life. And so it's just the pure nature of the way that we're doing work now is transforming, or has transformed in front of our eyes. And it's this combination of device expansion, so devices getting out there in the world, those decision points now expanding. And so as mobile workers, we're all now empowered wherever we are to have much more of a connected world to not only information but to each other. Going beyond that and into the world of BI and analytics and numbers, And you guys have probably heard this in the Talk Track for 4.0, tons and tons of information. I think there's an MIT research study that says the information in the world now doubles every 18 months, if not quicker. So lots and lots of data. It's coming from all sorts of places, lots and lots of devices. These are some of the challenges. And particularly from an IT standpoint, there's all sorts of new challenges. This graph just gives you a very short, simple snapshot of, and this is kind of the anti-Bill Gates Steve Ballmer slide, where it's like, okay, we've got our PCs and our desktop here declining. We've got the yellow is smartphones and this growth of smartphones, and the red is actually tablet devices and the growth of those tablet devices. Right? So the landscape is dramatically changing. Some really quick facts: 45% of companies, as a priority, will implement mobile enterprise apps. So there's just an amazing amount of business apps that are now coming out on the market. Apple is also making a big priority of marketing and supporting this whole push towards business apps. So you see more and more of that out there on the App Store today. 58% will support up to 4 different operating platforms. This gets at some more of the problems, the challenges for IT. How do you support a multi-device environment? How do you support all those different devices that are now being pushed out into the hands of the mobile workers? And how do you support all of these different types of apps that are floating around out there on all of these different devices? So some interesting challenges for IT. This is my Fred Flintstone slide. So this is really the opportunity, the amazing opportunity that we all have out there with all of these different devices. And you start to think about the connectivity, to have more information on more devices more often, to have more relevant context. The opportunities are really endless. And I think we can all start to see what some of those opportunities are. Some of the challenges I mentioned is it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because as we start to think about BI, analytics, data getting on all these devices, there's other words that kind of creep in from the back end. Is how do we make sure that these devices are managed? How do we make sure they're secure? It's great that we can have our reports and dashboards on our devices, but what happens if those devices are left at Starbucks or stolen? How do we make sure that that information that's living and breathing now on these devices everywhere is secure? So a couple of challenges, but lots and lots of opportunity.